Concord, New Hampshire.
Good morning, Howard. How you doing?
All right.
I was listening to 80s on 8 before you came on this morning, and they said that Van Halen was going to be playing live on Ellen, and I didn't know if that's something Baba Booey would be able to line up for you guys.
Well, I have to admit, I read that too. That Van
Halen playing live on Ellen?
On the Ellen DeGeneres show, and my first
2nd.
Yeah, my reaction was like, "What the fuck?" I mean, I don't know what they're selling, Van Halen, and they must have a new album out.
I think they're going to be touring this summer.
They're going to be touring, and I just
is it with David Lee Roth?
Yes, with David. And so that opened up some discussion with Gary. I said, Gary, I love Eddie Van. I love Eddie Van Halen so much. I mean, I truly believe that Eddie Van Halen and Hendrix and you know how I feel about Leslie West.
Yeah.
Eddie Van Halen, if you've ever tried to play the guitar, Fred, he's got to be like the greatest guitar player in terms of innovation.
Probably one of the most important guys in the late 70s and 80s, maybe even the 90s.
But has influenced every guitar player even that we hear now.
Everybody. He came up with that style of his own. Everybody tries to do it, but there's only one guy who can, and it's him.
Yeah. So, and I know Eddie Van Halen. I've spoken to Eddie just privately a bunch of times, and so I was kind of shocked.
Like, how does Ellen get that?
Yeah, well, hey, and all praise to Ellen for getting it, but I just know that her audience would be confused by Van Halen tunes, I think. Especially the David Lee Roth era. I wonder if it wouldn't have been a better venue to do something like that here with our 30 million subscribers.
How is she all of a sudden positioning herself?
She's doing a good job of it.
To be the outlet for breaking music or, talking about music.
Anyway, Gary has been in touch with Van Halen's people, and as far as I know, there's a very good chance that Eddie, Alex, and Wolfgang will be coming in. But not David.
No David? What about David?
I think David is angry with me.
Why?
Well, it's weird to me because, I like David. I have such a long history with David, so it's confusing to me. And I'm not really sure why. And maybe I should even call him and ask him. But, this goes back. We've had David on the show many times. And then when we were leaving terrestrial radio, the David Lee Roth show was coming on the air. And I was nothing but a gentleman to
gracious,
David.
Yes.
When David came in, and I think David thought I was going to be nasty or something like that, but when David came in that day to announce that he'd be taking over a lot of our show, a lot of our stations, I graciously said to him, David, I wish you so much luck. I hope you do well. I like David, and I think David's a really interesting guy. And so I think graciously said to David, welcome, and my audience should accept David. I mean, that was kind of big of someone like me who's a total scumbag to go, hey, I wish you well.
Yeah.
Because how could I ever not wish David Lee Roth well? I mean, I love David Lee Roth. So then I think we had. Then I know the next thing was that David was having trouble with the ratings and the show, and I even called up his producer or something and said, hey, if David wants me to get on the air with him and say some nice things, I would do that for him, which I thought was pretty magnanimous, quite frankly. And then, I've been trying to trace in my mind why David would be angry with me.
I don't recall you doing anything that would have
and then I saw David
enmity between you two.
I don't think so. And I saw David out in the Hamptons a bunch of summers ago. I was somewhere with this guy from Hamptons Magazine, Jason. Jason Bitt. Who I like, and Jason is friends with David, and I was hanging out with David pretty much for a couple hours anyway. One night we were just hanging out and having a couple of drinks and talking, and that seemed pretty cool.
That went okay.
Yeah, and David and I used to call each other a couple of times a year, and there was a period of time where we'd call each other before he took over the radio show from us. We used to talk about just stuff, like guys will talk. And we always had good conversation. But something has happened where David is upset with me and I don't know why.
Are you sure you just...
No, I got word from Gary. Told me David's not doesn't feel good about me.
I don't know that for a fact.
Oh, you don't?
That's just an idea that I have.
Oh, you had that idea. All right, so we don't know it for a fact, but I think it's true.
Well,
Maybe-
I don't know.
You know, when he lost his radio show and he was CBS or whoever that was, he did say that after his 3 years were up because they paid him, he would come and talk to you about what really happened, and he never
Oh
did.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, wait. That's another piece of the puzzle, and I think
Okay.
maybe this is why he's mad at me. You actually reminded me of something, Derek. So, when his radio show was over, he was going to come in here, and I was being sued by CBS Radio at that point, Viacom. They were just suing the pants off me for no fucking reason other than a harassment suit. Really. I had done nothing wrong. I did nothing to...
You were
to
the
manage-
pretty girl who got away.
Yeah. And so when David wanted to come on, I said, can we delay it? I'm not allowed to talk about anything with CBS until after the lawsuit's over because I'll get fucked because they'll
Right.
use it against me. And he was like, yeah, sure. No problem. I'll come in. But maybe he was pissed that I didn't let him come on the show and vent about CBS because I would have loved to have done it
Well,
with him.
I mean, that would be kind of petty, wouldn't it?
I don't know, but I'm trying to think of anything that negatively happened.
Robin, it was well explained to him why we
Yeah,
didn't
that's
want
what I'm saying. It wasn't about him. It was about your situation.
But I'm not being paranoid in the sense that I've asked him to come on the show over the last 5 years multiple times. He's been in this building
Yeah.
and hasn't done our show.
Yeah.
So I think there's
No,
something.
he did something up.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's been here. So I don't know what it is, but and maybe it's nothing. Maybe but like Gary said, the guy.
Well, maybe you ought to call him because it would be horrible not to have him.
Well,
Be
I'm
here
not
with the
gonna.
rest of
I
the
don't want to. I don't even. I'm kind of like. Hey.
I'm talking to the new Howard, not the old Howard.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I think old Howard's still in the room because
That's what I'm feeling like.
No,
I've got
honestly,
old Howard.
I
right
don't
now.
want. I never ask people
It's not about asking
to
him
come on the
anything.
show. And
It's
if he's-
about seeing if there's some problem that you are not aware that you fed
Yeah,
into.
maybe. I don't know, but that takes a lot for me to do that, and I don't want to bother anyone. If they really do have a problem with me, maybe I don't even want to deal with it. Who knows?
Hey, Howard, two other quick things real quick.
But
Maybe
it's a
you
shame.
should talk to your
First-
psychiatrist about that.
Yeah, I've talked about, but you know what? I think I don't know. Nothing helps. I'm sure, there's even a possibility, who knows, maybe I said something on the air or something, like when I was talking to Sammy Hagar. Who knows? It could be anything.
But we're doing a show.
I know. Hey, but listen, people do get trampled on sometimes on this show, and, we're not even aware of it. We're just talking, we're gossiping. But I don't know. So anyway, Eddie, who I do know, who is a fucking
you have
genius.
said so many complimentary things.
About David
About
and Van Halen.
Van Halen
I know.
and the David Lee Roth years.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I know. What can I tell you? But look, he's got some bug up his ass. So who knows what?
Do you know if the two brothers and Wolfgang will play any instrumentals if they do come on?
Probably,
or-
probably not. They'd probably just come in and hang and talk.
Right, I was going to say, I don't think we've never had Van Halen play here, have we?
I know that would be really something.
No, I remember one time Eddie brought his guitar, but then he was like kind of all over the place with it and never really played. Right, Fred?
Right. I know
Absolutely.
he's
Yeah, he
done
was
phone
kind of like a car wreck.
What?
done phone stuff with him before, and he's played on the phone too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've never had, the possibility of having the whole band here.
Yeah, it would have been kind of cool to have them play some of their hits, but like we could have done that up really well.
And if you blew that, Howard, no.
Hey, what's this thing, Blurred Lines, David Lee Roth? Is this a mashup somebody did?
Yeah, kind of like what if David Lee Roth sang on Blurred Lines?
Let me hear that. Is it really David Lee Roth? Yeah. This is off the internet, I think, right?
Okay.
This is like outtakes from David Lee Roth singing a Van Halen song, and somebody put it to Blurred Lines.
Okay. There you go.
That's hysterical.
See? Yeah, so anyway, yeah, Ellen's having Van Halen perform on her show, and hey, lucky her. I would love to have that. But we can't get everything in life. But I can't help but be...
something I think we deserve.
I can't help but be a little jealous, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would have thought that maybe this would be the place it would happen, but okay, it's the Ellen DeGeneres show. What can I tell you? I'm sure the ladies in the audience will go wild.
Oh, yeah, it's the perfect spot.
Yeah. All right, Derek, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. Well, what do I know? Maybe that's a better venue for Van Halen.
Don't think so.
Well, what can I tell you?
I'll call David.
Call him. Good luck. Oh, Van Halen will be on Jimmy's show next week, too, Jimmy Kimmel.
All right.
Lucky him. There you go. Maybe it's a West Coast thing.
Maybe it's just do everybody but.
Yeah, let's do every show but Howard's.
Let's make it really clear that we're not doing Howard.
Well, look at it this way. Maybe Ellen gets Van Halen, but we had the beautiful penis contest yesterday. So,
Look.
how many people can say that?
There's entertainment, and then there's entertainment.
What's next? Aerosmith on The View? How is it that a guy who is a big promoter of rock and roll like me loses out to that experience?
Well, this is what I'm saying, especially since it's not just a big promoter of rock and roll. Anytime you hear a Van Halen song, you stop and talk about it.
And jerk off to it.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
I didn't know about that part. But I can't think of anybody who is more complimentary
Thank
to
you.
Van Halen than you.
Well, there's something up. David's upset with me. Hansy,